Welcome back everybody. Today we're going to implement the admin panel. Now that is going to require us to have a few things like a SendGrid account, Google Domains, and a Linode account, right? So a Linode account is an optional thing, but I recommend you set it up because that is where we're going to be deploying in the end. So starting with this episode going forward, you will need to spend some money, and primarily that is on a domain. If you're using some kind of other domain provider, you will need to adjust accordingly. So this tutorial, we're going to be primarily using Google Domains. That is what I'm using. Here, I'm going to put a checklist in the description of the things that you should make sure you have in order to be able to complete this tutorial, right? So I'm going to quickly go over the setup. The setup is going to take you maybe a couple of hours to do, right? So not because it is hard to do or anything like that. It is because it's just going to take some time for the third-party infrastructure to refresh some data and stuff like that, right? So first of all, what you will need to do, what I will recommend is you go to Google Domains, you Google Google Domains, you get your domain. Again, if you're using some kind of other provider, go ahead and, set it up accordingly, okay? So once you have a domain, what you will be able to do is you will be able to manage it, right? Or you should be able to manage it. And primarily for Google Domains, I want to select my domain and I want to go into DNS. First of all, this is the optional step, okay? I have my domain pointing to the name servers of Linode, right? So basically Google Domains is going to say, right, Linode, you take care of this now, all right? If you don't have it pointing to Linode, I will show what other options you need. But basically, once you have a domain set up, that's kind of like a universal pointer for everybody on the internet can come to your domain now, and Google will basically take care of what website, where is your server located, etc. So at the moment, we're going to the Google domain. Google domain says, yo, right, just Linode, you take care of this now. Then, second thing that you need is a SendGrid account. And on your SendGrid account, your dashboard is not going to look like this because I already set it up and I've tested it. What you will need to do is in the settings corner right here, you will need to go to sender authentication. I'm hoping you can see this a little bit better. So sender authentication right here. On the sender authentication, you want to authenticate your domain. This is the option. And once you go through it, so we can actually step through it, something like this, you will go into Google Cloud. This is for Google Domains, right? Would you also just say no for the default, your domain, you input your domain here. And because I've already done it, okay, so coming back here, what the options that you're gonna get is it's basically gonna tell you set this thing up, okay? You can think of it as like a little proxy to their server and how they're gonna use your domain to send emails. I'm not 100% sure that is how I think of it, so don't take my explanation for that as the concrete explanation. If you're an expert and you know this, you're probably not watching this video. If you want to research it, go ahead and do that. But basically, right here, this information, the place that you want to put it in, if you're not pointing to a Linode server, you want to scroll all the way down here, and you input it into the custom resource records, okay? Otherwise, if you do have a Linode server like I do, right, and you're pointing to their name servers, what you need to do is in your Linode dashboard, again, you will go to domains, you select your specific domain. Like here you have your name servers to which you point to, and then you add the same records, but you add them in the CNAME records, okay? And again, once you've added these records, it's going to take a little bit of time to set up or refresh the records on their side, and then you're good basically. So once you have this, you go to API keys, you get yourself an API key, and that's it. At this point, you should be able to use SendGrid. So let's go ahead and quickly give it a little test. And primarily, this is how we're going to do it, right? So we can just Google C# SendGrid. We're gonna, stumble upon like a little example here. So this is it. Go ahead and copy it. Make sure you put your information in there and test it out, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this whole thing. I'm gonna go into LinkPad, and primarily I think you've already seen me do this before, but I use LinkPad to test out any bits of functionality quickly because I think it's the perfectly suited for that. Let's go ahead and make this a sync task. We'll do the import. Then I'll press F4 to add a NuGet package. From the NuGet packages, what I can do is I can search for SendGrid. Here I'll find the package. I'll download it. Okay, and once I got that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my API key in one of the extensions. I'm gonna cut the video here. I'm gonna make sure that I actually have the API key appropriately and hide it. I don't want to expose it on video. Okay. So here I am after installing the package and basically having the SendGrid API key moved into my extensions and loading it from there. What we're going to do now is just make sure that all the packages, all the relevant packages are imported, and we're just gonna, send a test email. So my email is islandergmail.com. Example user, I don't think that's important. Plain text. I mean, we can do that. And test at example, we can do something like test at the actual domain. So dev, let's go ahead and send this, see what happens. So now that that's finished, I'm gonna go ahead and check out my email. And on my email address, you should be able, or on your email address, you should be able to see the email. So once you got this, you're pretty much set up and ready to go and implement the rest of the episode, because I guess I should have explained this at the beginning of the episode, but what we're going to be doing is the admin should be able to invite a moderator. We're not gonna be configuring users in terms of like upgrade a user to a moderator. We're gonna send out a invite to the moderator, and that will be the only way to bring in a moderator into the platform. Okay. So with that being said, we are going to go back into our application and we're going to start developing it. Okay. Now the first thing that we want to do with our project is we want to initiate user secrets. Okay. So let's go ahead, open up the command line at the project directory. We can type in .NET user-secrets and say, secrets init. So we initialize them. You will see that now if we go to the CS proj, it will give you a user secret ID. Can format this a little bit maybe. And if you have in your plugins the .NET or user secrets, what this will allow you to do is either right click on your project, tools, and open project user secrets, right? So you have this file. And if we open it at a file location, just understand that it is located in your app data folder. Okay, so app data, roaming, Microsoft user secrets, and whatever GUID is specified in your CS proj file. Okay, we'll keep this file open and we're going to put some configuration in here like API keys and stuff like that, and we'll mimic it with the production app settings. But for now, let's just keep it open. In addition to that, what we want to do is we want to open up our package manager, and in here we want to search for SendGrid. The same way that we've added a package to our linkpad script, we just added here, and then it's basically, we can just take the functionality that we had in our linkpad, put it somewhere in a client in here, and then consume that client, right? Once the SendGrid package has been added successfully, let's go ahead and just set up some infrastructure for the admin to be able to work. So first of all, let's go ahead and add a policy. We'll call it admin. We will add a role. We will call it admin. Oh, like that. And once we got that, we want to go into program.cs and we're gonna take our moderation user. All right. And I think we will take this record as well. We will go down here, we will duplicate it, and we're just going to say admin user ID, admin@test.com. Make sure we rename the actual user to admin. And this one admin. And I think that's all right. One thing we'll need to do is set the claim to admin as well. What we're doing here is we're essentially creating an admin user, right? And now that this admin user is going to use the app, it's just a little dummy user we can use to test the functionality that we're about to bring in. Now that we have this admin user, let's go ahead and get a little directory in here. We'll call it services. In our services, we'll add another directory and we'll call it email. So in our email service, we'll add an email client, and hopefully you kind of understand what this is going to be. We're going to have a constructor where we can now go into linkpad and we can grab a bunch of this information. So we can just go ahead, copy this here, and let's just, clean this out a little bit. So SendGrid, we can import this. my extensions API key, that will no longer be here. We can create a field, we can make it read only, and that's pretty much it. And now we just need to inject some options into here to have the API key. The from, I'm actually going to inject that as well. So let's go ahead and create the public class email, or let's say SendGrid options. We are going to have a prop string API key and the prop string from. So what's the from bit is like basically what's the email name that is basically responsible for sending emails from our application, right? So let's go ahead and move this to another class, and what we're going to do is we're going to be injecting options monitor of SendGrid options and options monitor. Can make it a little bit global, and then from the options monitor we'll take current value and we will put the API key in there. And as long as we provide the API key in our app settings or the secret, we will essentially get the same thing, right? So this bit right here, let's go ahead and put options monitor current value from example user. I don't think we need that. I will take out this example user as well. I will not have any plain text. I will just be sending HTML, and we will say public task send. Let's see, what does this give us as a response? We don't know yet. Let's just quickly say send moderator invite, so a specific thing that we want to send. We will take most of the stuff and put it here because that belongs to the sending. This is kind of instantiation in the constructor. I don't need to explain that much. What does this give us back? This gives us back a response. We can convert it to a different value if we want to. Let's go ahead and just send a response here. And we'll just say return. So if we need to do anything with the response, we can. So the subject, we can say something like tricking library moderator invite. Put it instead of the subject here. I feel like that's all right. Let's just drop these down. There's a lot of parameters in this function. So remove the subject to. That can be an email address, so we'll no longer be sending it there. So email, put the email here, and we can just actually put it here because we kind of have many lines here now, so we can afford it. So once we get that, we can also say what kind of HTML we want, or we can just say, let's send a link through here. So it's just going to be the thing that we want the user to navigate to. So HTML content, let's say something like, you are invited to be a moderator on tricking library. Let's say $@ follow the, and we'll say href and something like this. Oh no, we are in the @ space and then closing. So hopefully you have a little bit of experience of writing HTML in a non-HTML file. Follow the link, to jump to register. Okay, and the link, hopefully no big surprise. This is what we put here. Have this on the same line. I think we need this here. And let's see what it's saying. Expected semicolon. Guess that's because we're closing it off. Maybe I needed 2. Cannot remember. It's always different in every single language. So anyway, that's going to be the link that we're going to send in here. So that's where the user is going to have to go once he receives his invite. And all we have to do now is trigger this function. Okay. Hopefully that is not too confusing. Now, as for the options, what we're going to do is we're going to copy our app settings development. Let's rename them to production. And this is what you do. Let's see, file system settings. These are going to be secret and secret and secret. So, and probably they're just going to be entirely different for production, but Let's go into the SendGrid options. We are going to basically copy the structure here. So API key and from. So let's say API key. We'll say secret and from secret. Okay, so now all you do, you copy this bit, this setting, you put it here, edit the file anyway, and the thing that's going to happen is the secrets are going to be used for your development environment, and don't put them in your app settings development. Don't commit them because they're outside of the actual project, right? What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put my API key and from. So for example, tricking library dash dev at rawcoding.dev, right? And this is where it's going to come from. I'm not going to put the API key there and close the file. I'm not going to show you that bit though. Okay, so I got my API key in there. Let's go ahead, close that. Once you got your API key in there, all good. Email client, cool. App setting production, make sure they mimic your the thing in the secret, and they mimic the SendGrid options. Now what we can do is we can go into startup and register this stuff, right? So up top here, I actually forgot to register the policies, but let's register the service first, and then we're going to take care of adding an admin policy. So SendGrid options, let's put this here, name of, so we get the section, right? And then let's get a scoped, maybe it could be, no, let's not put it, let's not make it a singleton. What we're going to do is add the email client, and that's pretty much it, right? So we got the options, we got the email client. Now the thing that I forgot is the admin policies. So if we scroll all the way down, where we were adding the moderator. Okay, so yeah, so right here, where we were adding the moderator, so require claim. If we take a look at it, you will see the allowed values the claim must process one or more of 4 evaluation to succeed. Okay, so here we basically say, right, the moderator policy succeed also if you're an admin. And let me drop this down to new line here. Okay, and we want to do the same thing, so let's add another policy. We'll say admin, but this time we're just gonna remove the mod. Let's just put this, actually let's keep it on that line, I liked it there. So authenticate the user if you're a moderator, you match mod if you're a mod or an admin. For admin, you just have to be an admin. Okay, so hopefully that again makes sense. Regular authentication is just, you just have to be authenticated, okay? Let's work through the admin controller. So let's close that. Let's get our admin controller in here. And let's just have our API controller. We're gonna go to, we're gonna say route, what do we want, /API/admin, public action results, and this will probably need a task, but whatever, and we'll say list moderators. You can list regular users here, and you can upgrade the roles and whatnot. I'm just gonna say list me all the moderators. Again, or actually, let's not put an authorized tag on there just yet. What we're going to do is we're going to inject from services user manager and identity user. So let's just call it user manager, and var users equals user manager. Find let's see, get users for claim async. So var mod claim equals new claim, where we can supply the, I think we already created this claim a couple of times. If we go into program and let's see, new claim, role admin, yep, and moderator. So let's take this claim right here. We're gonna go into tricking library constants, and where we have claims, we're just gonna public claim moderator claim, and this is going to be static, and this is going to equal to this thing right here. So just call it this. Oh, and there we go. So moderator claim, just so we can grab the same claim over and over. And let's go ahead and tricking library constants claims moderator claim. We'll put it here, and we can reuse this here as well. So let's just say we put the claim here, and then we're gonna find all the users. Let's make sure we await on this, make the endpoint async, and then we return OK, where we can users select, let's say new. What do I want to see? Let's see the ID. Oh, didn't mean to do that for sure. Let's get their email, and I think that's it. I don't need anything else. We can check this endpoint in a minute as well. First of all, what we're going to do is we're gonna copy this and we're gonna say invite moderator. Okay. From our services, we will now actually need a couple of things. Let's turn this into a post. Okay. We're not gonna return a simple thing like this. We want our from services email service. So this is where we're gonna, did I call it email? Email service? What did I call it? Email client. There we go. So email client. So let's say email client here, comma, and we will need to submit something. So primarily, public class invite moderator form. The things that I want from here is a email. Let's say that this, we will use Fluent validation for this. So let's copy this, and another thing that we'll say is we want a return URL. Okay, so because we're going to be in dev, we're going to be in production, what I want to do is, because the admin panel on the front end is going to submit this request, the admin panel should decide which return URL in the end the user who receives the email should get to. So once they go onto the registration page for the moderator, once they register there, I want them to pop back to the correct client, right? So it's just to kind of like close the loop. And let's create a public class invite moderator form validation, abstract validator, invite moderator form, constructor, and rule for, say, oh, not equals email, not empty. Cool. And return URL not empty as well. All right, so we got the two. One thing that we want, well, one thing, the actual thing that we want is the invite moderator form, right? Form. Okay, so if you want to accomplish this yourself, feel free to pause the video here, but the thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to create a user, send out an email. The user should be able to follow the link on the email. He should be able to pop back to a page and register and come back as a moderator, right? And be able to use the application. Otherwise, go ahead and see how we do this, right? First of all, let's go ahead and check if a user with this email or something like that already exists, right? So existing user equals, let's see, where do we have user manager? Find by email async, and we'll say form email, right? Await on this. If existing user doesn't equal null, let's return bad request, and this is something that should be handled. User with this email already exists. All right, so descriptive error because an admin is going to be using this, which is me, and I want to know what the problem is. Okay, so once we know that a user is free to be created, let's go ahead and create that user, right? So moderator equals a new identity user, and the username is going to be unknown. So at the moment, what we're going to say is username will equal to the email, and the email will equal to the email. Right, and then we want to, if we go into program, we will use the add claim thing as well. And let's actually copy both of these. We will need both of these. User manager, let's use the user manager here. Moderator, just make sure we get rid of the get await or get result. Await here. Await here. So var results create result. If create result not succeeded, let's go ahead and return bad request, and we'll say something like create result errors, and I don't know, aggregate my errors, dude. We'll say A, B, supply the default. Let's see, A dot, do we have a message, string and identity error? Oh, okay, so A plus, or let's say, I appreciated this could be a little bit hard to look at, but let's take this out, This is getting a little bit, you know. Error response, we'll put this to here. So this is going to be A, and then we want to say, not comma, maybe the other way around. Or does it matter? Let me just stop derping around, and I will get this done. B dot description. Okay. So okay, and maybe I'm having second thoughts. Let's say A, comma, and then description. At the beginning, failed to create user, and maybe not a comma. Let's put a comma here, right? So failed to create user, and then whatever description, right? Error response, put it here. Cool. So if we fail to create a user, tough, right? Bad news. For whatever reason, go investigate, right? When we create the user, the password should be a little bit different. So what we're going to do is create a, let's say, random part, hash salt, whatever you want to call it. I'll say random. Next, and then we can use integer max value. So whatever this is, let's go ahead and put it into linkpad. We can quickly see the value and kind of make a minimum of it as well. So if we, if I don't just run it, actually wait, there we go. Let's just take it, close this, no longer need it. And again, it's just I find the linkpad very useful in these scenarios. We can now press insert, change this to 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So we get a good length random number. Let's go ahead and make sure that we account for some basically some maybe special cases that could happen, and let's append the random part here. Okay, and there we go. So we generate a random password that is going to be really hard to guess for an account. So the user himself will not be able to sign in. We will not be telling him the password either. What we will do is we're going to generate a code which the user can reset their password with. Okay, so let's go ahead and generate the code. So once all of this is finished, we can var code equals user manager, a password reset, generate password reset token async. There we go. Let's go ahead and wait on this. The thing that we need to pass in there is our moderator. I don't think that's gonna need anything else. So there is the code. Now we want to use our email client, and we want to send a moderator invite async. We can grab the email here and the link, right? Where is the user going to go when they click the link in the email, right? So let's generate the link. URL page. We want to go to a page. We're going to create this page. Account. We don't want to go into. Don't want to send them to a regular login or register page. We want to send them to a moderator registration page. Okay. Moderator. So that's where he's going to register. He's going to go to the get handler. And now for some parameters. We want to autofill the form for him. So we will say, let's say something like, you're going to have an email, which is going to be, this is not JavaScript, from form email. And then you're going to have a code. And then you're going to have a return URL. Okay. Form return URL right there. So 3 things. Another thing to set here is the protocol. So protocol, let's just say HTTP, HTTP context request schema. And that's just going to make sure that the HTTPS localhost whatever part is appended onto the request. Okay. So this should give us a link to make this, let's actually give this a name of async, right? So just rename this real quick. And at the end we can say, just return this so we can verify this really quickly, okay? So now that we got this, let's go ahead and fire up our application, .NET Watch Run. And we're gonna give this a quick test. So while that starts up, what's the error here? I can't see it. Oh, I'm missing a semicolon. Well, yeah, that's starting up now. And the way that we're going to test it, you've already seen this test method, but let's go ahead and do it again. We're going to type in HTTP here, and we're going to create an HTTP request. Moderator invite. All right, we can actually keep this one in here. Let's put it at the top of the solution somewhere here. And let's add a request. We'll add a GET request, and we'll add in, well, not one of these. Let's add a post text body, right? Application JSON and this one, right? So let's change up the URL 5001 API/admin/moderators. Let's go ahead, copy this URL. And because we don't have the authorization tag on there, it should be just fine. So if we run this request, what we should see is we should see just the one moderator user. For this one, what we should be able to do is we should be able to supply an email where we will say, at the moment, my email is this one. Go ahead and send me the invite here. And return URL. That's just something to satisfy the thing, right? So HTTP we can say something like, yeah, HTTPS //localhost 3000. That's where our application is going to be. And /. So let's go ahead and run this one, and we will see what is going to be returned at the end. So this is the URL. All right, so looks crazy. The code's in there, and the account is in there as well. Let's go ahead and quickly check this out. So where's my Gmail? So there it is. So if we follow the link, it's gonna try to take us somewhere where, you know, it doesn't really exist. And primarily it failed to create the page to actually, you see it's sending to /admin/invite moderator. What we actually want to do is /account/moderator. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that page. So to create the account/moderator page, let's go into our pages here. We're gonna go into account, register. Let's copy this, and we're gonna call it moderator. A couple of things are gonna break. Obviously, nothing's ever easy. On the moderator page, at the top here where we have the register model, swap it, open the CS file, and make sure you rename the class to moderator. And here we go. So let's rename this to moderator register form. On the moderator register form, what we're going to do is we will need a return URL. That's okay. We will need an email. We will supply that. And we will also need the code. So these are all the things that are going to come from the email. After that, we're going to have a username. That's fine. We're going to have a password and the password as well. Cool. Now let's go ahead and step through this. So once we receive the page, we're going to have a couple of things here, like the code and the email. These are the things that we want to set on the form once we receive it. So email equals email, the comma on here, and code equals code. Okay, that's going to be the setup of the form. Now that we are going to go and submit the form, let's go through this, and then we're going to actually go style it. So the first thing that we want to check is if the username that the moderator is trying to take is going to be chosen already, because I don't want to make them sign in with the email. I don't know, I just prefer the username myself, and I don't really like signing in with the email. So we're going to do actually the same check. So let's go ahead and grab the logic from the admin controller. We're just going to do this. We are going to put this here. The user with the email isn't going to exist. So find by name. and we can say form username. So if the existing user isn't null, let's go ahead. We're not going to do this. We're going to return the page. All right, and for one of the custom errors, we're going to say username already taken. Okay, so they can't take that username. Otherwise, let's go ahead and create the user with the username, or rather, we don't need to actually do that. We need to find user by email. So let's actually go ahead and take this, and then we find by name. I guess find by name, we can still find by name, but although it will be email, so we will be supplying an email to find user by, because that's their username at the moment. Okay, so we don't need to create the user. What we need to do is we need to reset their password. So user manager, let's say reset password async, and we will need to provide a user here. So user, we will need to provide a token that is going to come from the form, and the new password, again, that is going to come from the form. So password, let's go ahead, wait, var reset password, we'll say result, and this is the thing that we check now. If succeeded, all good. Otherwise, errors. Do we want to display anything? I don't think so. Let's say invalid or failed to reset or failed to create account. Let's say that. Okay, and then just return the form. Once we have reset the password, before we sign the user in, let's go ahead and do this. Username. We will set the username from the form. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say use the user manager, update async, and we'll put the user here, right? So we update the username, we update the password, and then we sign the user in. And then we return to wherever we came from. Cool. On the moderator form itself, the errors, let's go ahead, put them down here near register. We will remove the link to the login, so we don't want them going back to the login. For the hidden fields, we are going to have email and code. At the top here for the username, we can still use the username. One thing that we're going to do is we're just going to say model form email, just display this thing here. Just put it at the top. No problem, right? So just display the field, the username and the other stuff. That should just be, you know, we shouldn't be able to edit the email. Just let them provide the username, password, and confirm password, right? So that should be it. Let's go ahead and test this out again. So we can actually see this because we're going to have different roles and stuff like that before actually testing this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the user controller and we're going to tweak a couple of things here. So on the user profile, and again, we will need to account this for on the front end as well. Let's go ahead and these things right here, let's go ahead and delete them, because now what we're going to do is we're going to pass a role here, right? And we're going to say role equals role, and that's it. So in the user controller, this is only ever going to get run once. So I'm actually okay with supplying the whatever thing here, and we'll just what's it called, compile and invoke with a new user. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, so isMod, this thing is going to change, so let's go to the API controller real quick, and we are just going to go to user claims. We'll change this to string. This isMod will change to role, and I think yeah, let's just do get claim. We have a really good what's it called, a tricking library constants claims role. Okay, what was that moderator claim? Okay, so that was the thing. Okay, what's it saying here? Read on. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so on the user controller, let me just double check that everything is in the API controller. It's fine. So we get the role claim, we get the value, so that's good. Now let's just go ahead and pass the role in here and here. And again, that's pretty much it. So now it's going to change a little bit. Instead of a Boolean flag, we are going to have an actual string. So we will need to do the appropriate match on the front end. But for now, let's go ahead and check the registration, right? So make sure everything is running. So both of the applications are running. Now let's go ahead and send this in again. Should be cool. I can follow the link straight from here. And there we go, right? So I'm assuming I'll already have it in the email. Cool. Let's go ahead and try to take the test username. We'll just quickly check that. Username's already taken. Okay. So we'll say new, password, register. And there we go, right? So we do not have the moderator screen, but that is okay because the logic for the moderation has changed. So let's just quickly go into the base state, and on the profile, what we're going to do is we're going to check role, right? And that is going to say moderator. So we're actually a moderator. Okay, so that process has worked, and I'm quite happy. There were no errors, right? Let's go ahead, close all of this. We are going to go to our front end now, and we're going to edit a bunch of stuff here. First of all, let's go into the auth store and let's fix this thing up. Let's add a admin. Press that. Admin role. So these are the roles. What do we got? We want to sort of replicate the same pattern where an admin is also a moderator. So let's say is the state profile. Let's say role equals roles admin, and then we'll say is authenticated, and we'll say getters admin, or kind of same story as this thing right here, except role is moderator, and sliding off the screen here, but not too scary. And I think this will need a comma. This will need a comma, and there we go, right? So if we're either an admin or a moderator, all good. Other couple of things, let's go ahead and quickly add them. We're gonna add some middleware that's gonna check the role of the user, and it's gonna be awesome, right? Add a mod middleware, and then we're also going to have a admin middleware, and all this middleware needs to do is it export default function. And here we're gonna have the context where we can have redirect. So we're gonna check the store, and then we're gonna redirect if you do not match a specific constraint. So store getters, and we'll say auth moderator. So if you are not a moderator, we're gonna redirect you to the front page, right? Copy this, put it in the admin. Change this to admin, and there we go, right? So if you're not a moderator, not an admin, you're just gonna get thrown to the front page. No errors, nothing. All right, so no warning signs. Now let's go ahead and quickly go into the profile page, and on here we're gonna do a couple of things. Underneath here, let's just make a div, and in here we'll just display the role. Okay. So let's just put a strong here, and we'll also show you profile.role. I believe, if I remember correctly, this is going to need a bit of a margin on the top. So here you can see we have the moderation button here, and we have the role moderator. Another thing, I think, change requests, we can actually hide that. If we don't have any, let's create a div here, because it kind of looks ugly if we don't have any, right? Moderation items, vif, moderator items, length more than 0. Okay, so if we got any, show that section. Otherwise, completed tricks, it's kind of like, oh, you can actually get completed tricks tracked, right, of how many ever we have. Okay, so cool. Let's go ahead and create the admin page. I actually already have the folder from practice, so let's go ahead and get a view component in here, and we're just going to create an index page. So all cool there. Two things. form for inviting, and a list to display the, what's it called, the actual list of moderators that we're going to get from our endpoint to list moderators, right? So let's get the first thing. Let's get the form. We're going to have a vtext field. We can have a template where we slot. What do we got with the slot? We want to append outer. Cool. This is going to be a v button and invite. We can say color primary. I was doing this and I was like, oh man, why don't we have this on the comments, man? And then I was like, oh, maybe we should put it there. But then I was like, oh man, this is gonna be another episode. And I was like, okay, we're not gonna do this. Okay, we're not. So anyway, as building up the component goes, we've already done this like 100 times. You should know what this entails, right? So return this Axios. So all I'm really going to do is I'm just going to narrate what I'm doing. So grab the moderators from their appropriate place and bind them to an array, right? So you're going to receive some moderators, go ahead and stick them in an array. And, you know, you're going to have another div. Are you even going to have a div? I think you can just put a vlist here. You're going to have some vlist item. The vlist item has some content, and that will have a title and, you know, a subtitle or something like that. We can have a v-for loop where we will have a user in moderators where the key will be something like I don't know, user ID. I think that's pretty unique. We can have a user. What do we even get? So we can check the, obviously build before you check, otherwise you never know what's gonna happen. We get the ID and email, so let's just put the email up there, and we are going to put the ID down there, so that should display a bunch of stuff. Next thing is the form, so let's just grab the email here. We are then going to have actually, let's have a loading as well. I don't want to accidentally send out 2 invites and whatnot. We'll say false here, and we'll say send invite. All right, and if this loading, we would just want to return, otherwise this loading equals true. So this function is also only triggering once. Then we go to Axios and we post. We post to /API/ I mean, let's copy this. That's a lot to type, you know. Let's post that here. We'll then have a then where we can do something with the URL. We can not do something with the URL. I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to clear my what's it called? Clear my inputs and set the loading back to false. The error is gonna get caught, and the thingy is going to be displayed if it needs to. I can also then say, or maybe not then, rather finally, this dot fetch. All right, so just run the fetch again, and that should reload the list. What am I? Yeah, let's not forget to get the v model. I'm getting quite hungry here, so I'm gonna feast after this episode. Right, disable the input. Why is it having problems? Oh, I'm putting it on the template. There we go. There's my focus. So let's see, label, email, disabled, loading. Same on the button. You can also have a loading on here, and on click you can have send invite. Okay. Anything that I'm forgetting? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and test it out. Maybe actually, one thing I'm missing. We'll check it towards the end of the episode, but middleware. We can provide an array, but I mean, this is just going to be admin, right? So only an admin can reach this, and hopefully if we're still signed in as a moderator, Let's go ahead and try to go to /admin. And there we go, it just pops us back to the original page because we're not an administrator kind of thing, okay? So let's sign out here. We're gonna sign in as an admin. So admin password, because we've already set up the user. We're gonna look as Judge Judy, but you know, we're not. Let's go put a link on the default here. So where we have the moderator. I'm surprised. Do we have a clipboard here as well? Actually, this doesn't look like it has. Ah, okay, it's just not displayed. And it's gonna get displayed. Okay, so sorry, I'm just mumbling here. Let's just get an admin role through here. The moderator. We're just gonna have something like cogs here. Admin panel. This will lose the class. And we'll say vif admin. I think we can lose this moderator button here. We can just put it here, remove the class, and vif moderator. Okay, and on the index page of the moderation, I think we can go there as well, right? So just don't let people reach this page because, you know, it allows you to edit stuff and things. So middleware, we say mod, so only a moderator can reach it. Just make sure that we haven't named it moderator or something like that, right? You know, something descriptive. So just mod, so display only this if you're a moderator. So if I'm an admin, I should be able to see both. Cool. I like that. Let's go ahead and visit the admin panel. Let's see what it looks like. Obviously brings us to the moderation page because why not? Let's come back to the default. Let's go to admin page here. Cool. So let's try that again. And there we go. So we can see the two moderator users. I don't think it... Ah, yeah, so it shows the other one that actually was registered with my email address, right? So let's go ahead and... actually, you know, let's see what happens if we try to resend the invite, right? So error occurs, obviously. Server responded with a status of 415. So that's invalid, probably admin controller. Let's see. Okay, wait, hold up. I understand what's the problem. So when I put the data from the wrong thing, sorry, let me just close everything and go to the admin panel. See, when I'm hungry, I can't think straight. I feel like I'm already too far into the episode to stop and have a snack and resume it later. So we're just gonna finish it off as is. When we post, don't post any body. So just make sure that I don't know. No, I actually know. I say I don't know for whatever reason. I don't even know why I say I don't know, but basically, just make sure you have an actual thing that you post. Return URL. We can go to auth and the way that we generate it here. Just location href. Grab it here. Let's see location. Because we're on /admin, I want to see what's actually... Yeah, so let's see what other properties we get. I just want to put it on the root. So origin, I think that's the one that we can grab, right? So just origin. Do we need a / on the end? I don't think so. I think that's fine. Let's make sure we post the data here. And that should be good. Let's refresh this. So let's see, because we cut the 400, we catch the 400 errors. That's why we were returned to the error page. But if we catch the 400 error, it should just display us a little thing like this. Okay. So let's go ahead, refresh the backend real quick, and that's just gonna give us a what's it called? It's just gonna clear this user, and we will be able to resend the invite and just go through the full flow again. You know, as we need to do. I'll just open up my email address meanwhile while that's happening. So let's go to the admin panel. I'll invite the user. All should be good. There's my email address 0 minutes ago. There's the link. Let's go ahead, follow the link. We should grab the link and really open it up in something like a incognito tab. We'll say new password, and should be able to sign in. All right. Moderator, reach the moderator profile page. Everything's here. I'm happy it's working, that we can invite a moderator onto our platform using this approach. Okay. We could be upgrading the user through here as well. Just understand that venue is open. This seems like a bit of a more professional way, okay? So you let the user create the account and input the password. Now that you know how to do this, this gives you sort of this indirect approach of creating specific roles of users indirectly, okay? Last note that I have wrote down here is on the admin panel. I think there was some kind of error that was popping up. Let me just quickly edit here. Nope. Was that just on the difficulty maybe? Yeah, so there it is. So just on the difficulty, when something is live, it throws this error. So let's just quickly go on the difficulty form, and this bit right here, I'm just going to change this to this. So if we have state, let's go ahead and put this here. Okay, just like that. And I'm just going to put the same thing on the category form just to prevent if this error ever occurs somehow. Let's go ahead and check that. Okay, so that's the same. Okay, so just a little guard there. Not really a guard. If it's 0, it's like false, so it fails it and just assigns itself to the whatever, just JavaScript things. Okay. So just make sure you don't have that error with the by defending it with that if clause, okay? And let's see what that is going to be disabled. That is disabled. Okay, good. I like it. Awesome. Right. So just a quick summary: set up your SendGrid account, set up a Google domains or any other domains. Make sure you go through the SendGrid domain authentication process. Get an API key. If you have the Linode server, make sure your Google domains point to the Linode server, and then set up the SendGrid configuration in your Linode server. Admin panel with emails through SendGrid. Awesome. Inviting moderators into our platform by sending email invite. What more do you want, right? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, subscribe. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments section or reach out to me on my Discord server. I also stream on Wednesdays and Sundays, 6 o'clock London time. So if you want to know when I actually go live, go ahead and ask for the Stream Squad role on the Discord server. And as always, I'll see you in the next episode.